Have you ever wondered why some children are confident and others are not? It is not rocket science. It is a result of intentional parenting and intentional mentorship. Hello everybody, welcome to today's podcast. My name is Sukeji Modi and I'm going to discuss with you the 10 commandments of self-esteem in children. So what are the 10 things that you're supposed to do as a parent to help you build up a child or bring up a very confident child? Let me tell you, here's a train of thought. If you check most political families, if you check most royalties, they actually have a history whereby all their children are trained. Their children are taken into royal schools to be trained, to be taught. So most of the basics there, they are being trained how to think, how to dress, how to look at things. So that is engineering a child from an early stage. But today, let me share with you some of the 10 things that you can do as a parent to ensure that you raise a child that has a high self-esteem. So number one is intentionality. Allow me to start by saying that the word of God reminds us that parents are stewards. Who's a steward? A steward is somebody that is being entrusted with something. So in this case, as a parent, God has entrusted you with your child. God has entrusted you with children. So you have the responsibility to bring out that child into who God made them to be. And one of the things that I personally believe that God designed is that every child should grow up healthy, should grow up happy, and should grow up with a high self-esteem. So as a parent, you need to make up your mind. In fact, if you have never made up your mind to raise a confident child, today I want to invite you into this higher conversation. You need to make up your mind to raise a child who has a high self-esteem. Because if you don't make up your mind, there are a lot of things that you'll be doing to your child or saying to your child that will be breaking their self-esteem on a daily basis. So the first thing is intentionality. You need to make up your mind that in this house, I am raising a generation of children who have a high self-esteem. Secondly is the aspect of naming. As an African, if we look at our continent, like personally me where I come from, we have a specific way of naming children, maybe the firstborn, the secondborn, or even sons or something like that. Now, it is the same thing with most communities in Africa. Some children are named after their grandfathers, after their aunties and all that. So it is being done that way to ensure that there's a continuation of the generations from time to another. But here's a train of thought. Can we talk about the names? Can we talk about the meaning of names? Whenever you give your child a name that has bad memory, a name that is attached with sorrow, a name that is attached to a very painful circumstances in your life, you're not doing that child any favor. You're simply inviting your child to that very sorrow. Okay? So naming a child should not be random. Naming should be as a result of intentionality. In fact, you should actually name a child into what you want them to be, not how you brought them into this world. So for example, if you gave birth to your child at a time whereby you're going through a lot of hardship, you don't have to name that child to symbolize that hardship. So let me tell you a story. I remember way back when we were in school, there was a boy who was with us. We used to do a lot of debates. He used to be called Mandela. He was almost the most confident person I have ever seen growing up as a child. So I think his confidence really blew off my mind. But one day I noticed that his full names are actually Nelson Mandela. So all of us know who Nelson Mandela is. He's being named after the great Nelson Mandela. So that obviously makes that child so confident. Whenever he hears what Nelson Mandela has done, he's so confident. He's so passionate about justice. He's so passionate about liberating people. That is what a name does to someone. Here is something that you don't notice. Whenever you give a child a weak name, they will always struggle, they will battle with it. For example, if you give a child a name that means bad luck, let me tell you something, the child will be responding to bad luck on a daily basis. So you need to be very intentional with the kind of names that you give children, because what you call your child is exactly what they will become. Decide to be kind to your child. Give your child a name that can actually increase their self-esteem. Even if it's from your culture, choose to disrupt culture. Choose to become different. Give a name that you know your child one day will be happy about. All right? Moving on, I want now to talk about comparison. Yes, I think most of us have noticed it in societies. I think growing up as a child, I really never liked the aspect of comparing me to another person. And it is a very common trait among parents. Sometimes parents think when you compare a child to another person, that's when the child will get the morale to do better or become better. All right? It can also mean maybe comparing a child in the aspect of academics or in the way they do house chores. A simple thing like your cousin scored higher than you in academics, you are not serious, can actually kill something inside that child. So if you know that you want to raise a very confident child, you need to stop comparing your children with any other person outside there. Even if you feel the other child is better than your child, find a way to talk to this child, encourage this child to become something better. All right? So moving on, the other aspect that is very, very important is presence. Being present as a parent in the lives of your children. It's a very important aspect. I understand that all of us live in a world whereby parents are busy, children are busy, a parent is working in another city or even in another continent, children are studying in another place. It's a very huge challenge. All right? So that means that this calls for attention. There is something that your presence does to a child as a parent. When you're around your children, it actually boosts their self-esteem because children have a lot of things to say. Let me tell you something. If you ever thought children don't have something to say, children have a lot of things to say. And some of these things need to be said when you're present as a parent. Let me tell you a short story. I remember one day I was going to a park with a couple of friends. And then when we were going, we saw a parent who was driving a car, but he put the child to be the one in front and handling the wheel. So we could see the excitement in the face of that child. The child was so happy. I think the child almost thought that they are the ones who are actually driving that car. So this is how you build self-esteem in the life of children. You become present. You become actively engaged in the things that they like, in the things that they do. Okay? Another significant one is school days. I already have a flashback of a lot of memories that remind me of my old school days. When I was in boarding school during visitation day, when your parent comes, it means a lot. Like it boosts your self-esteem. And up to today, when I think of these days whereby my parents showed up for me during visitation day, it makes me so proud and it makes me so happy. So being present in a child's life means a lot. It's beyond the registry that you sign when you come to school. It's beyond just being present. It is building something inside of them that I'm here, I am present, and I'm willing to hear what you want to tell me. So we are currently living in a digital world whereby most children have iPads, most children have tablets. Remember that these children consume information every day on a daily basis. Yes. So your presence as a parent, sometimes that is the time whereby these conversations will come out. That is the time when they will ask you, "Oh, mom, I saw that thing on social media. I saw this and this on social media. Is it true? Is it good?" That is the opportunity to correct some of the things that your child must have seen on social media. So moving on. Another significant aspect that should never be forgotten is finding the talent of your child. Yes, you heard me so well. Every child is specially gifted. All right. And every child is specially gifted in a specific field. As a parent, it is your sole responsibility to find out what your child likes. Sometimes it comes out in the funny things they say, in the funny things they do. But as a parent, you need to sit down and be soaking. If your child loves football, go ahead and buy them the football boots. When you buy that to them, when they go and play, you're building confidence inside of them. You're giving them a response to what they thought they can actually do well. If your child likes swimming, buy them the swimming costume, pay for the swimming sessions that they go for every day. All right. There are some children who like karate. Go and sign them up in a karate school. By that way, you're actually creating potential. You're whispering slowly to that child that you like this thing and I believe that you can do it. So as parents, don't just let your child to be idle, or don't just let children to be home during the holidays. Come out with a routine. Create a routine for children. All right. The other aspect that should not also be left, that is very important, is affirmation. Yes, you heard me so well. Now, traditionally, most of us, that is the Gen Z generation and the millennial generation, or even the Gen X, we grew up with a culture that didn't celebrate affirmation. That means that you grow up with parents, they don't tell you sweet words. You wake up every day, they just give you money for breakfast, you go to school, they give you school fees. But that is why we have a higher generation. All our higher generations struggled with low self-esteem. But the other magic is affirmation. What do you tell your children? Let me tell you something. Some parents, you have hurt your children in so many ways. You have hurt them in the words you tell them. You hurt them in the things you make them to believe. Okay? As a mother, maybe you had an issue with the father of the child, you had a separation. Now you reflect that on the child. You keep telling them maybe you're stupid like your father, or you're not competent like your mother. Now you're pumping that child. So every child is born with a life that is like a piece of paper with nothing written on it. But your words, everything that you tell this child will build the belief system that they come up with. So as a parent, you need to be very intentional. Affirm your kids. All right? Affirm your kids. Tell your child, you're beautiful. You look good today. You're amazing. In fact, I have a friend who has a child that is 4 years old. But let me tell you, that child has a special series of affirmation that she recites every day when she wakes up. So you find out when she wakes up, she says, "I am a queen. The Lord has designed me for greater things. I am blessed. Now, a child who has been trained from home, a child who the parents have always affirmed to her that she is blessed, even if she goes outside. Funny twist. There was a day she went to school, and I think the teacher told her that you're not intelligent. She said, no, teacher. Daddy said, I'm intelligent. Now, that is what happens when you affirm a child. You build for them a special belief system. All right? So, moving on, the other significant aspect is building routines and rituals in your family. I know most of us did not grow with that. So if you're a pastor's kid, mostly in homes whereby homes of pastors or religious people, they have such routines. For example, some families have time for morning devotion, they have Bible study for some days, and there are some families that did not grow with that. And you might be watching me now and you're part of these people that did not grow with routines. All right? You even don't know how to pray. So introducing your children to a routine of prayer, introducing them to a routine of reading the word, introducing them to a routine of playing musical instruments, introducing them to go and be part of a Sunday school. It builds the self-esteem of a child. You know, whenever you give children routine, you're reminding them that you're welcome to the world and these are the things that you must do. All right? So when a child starts praying from the age of 4, they will not stop praying when they reach 15 because you have already planted a seed inside of them. That means even if they meet a challenge that is almost breaking them, they will remember that no, while I was growing up, dad or mom taught us to pray, taught us that everything will become better. In fact, prayer plays a very, very big role. All right, it plays a very, very, very big role that we should not ignore. So introduce routines into the life of your children. Sometimes, even if you're far as a parent, call them. How are you doing? Did you pray today? Did you pray yesterday? What are you doing? Are you people going to church? Are you going for Bible study? You know, these are the small, small things that you can do that can train your child the art of high self-esteem. Correction in love. What is correction in love? This means that as a parent, when a child does something wrong, you can actually correct a child in anger. Whenever you correct a child in anger, it does not make them change. It makes them fear you. But when you correct a child in love, it makes them to sit down and see what is that wrong thing that they have done that they will not do again. So as a parent, I know most parents or the African culture teaches us to raise children with a hard fist. You need to beat a child. If a child is not crying, they have not understood. In fact, somebody said that a house where children don't cry is a house where children are not disciplined. Is that true? Make sure you give me the answer later. But the truth is that correct your children in love. Some of you are too harsh to children. Some of you have turned houses into the places where abuse starts. You brutally beat a child. You even go ahead and you ban your child. You go ahead and you give your child marks that they will never forget. That is not parenting. That is harsh correction. I want you to be kind to your child. I want you to give them the love that the world outside there will later give them. All right? And also, the other most significant point is the aspect of celebrating their wins. Parents need to stop being perfectionists. Perfectionism is a time whereby it's actually a state whereby you want your child to be the best. That means, for example, if a child becomes the second in a class of 40, you will not be happy. You will not celebrate them. You'll actually tell them, why didn't you become number 1? I think most of us can relate. At some point, our parents are very harsh like that. But that is not the right way to parent. Even if a child becomes number 30 out of 40, first of all, celebrate that child. Tell that child, congratulations for what you have done, but I think I want you to do better. All right. Now things have even become more beautiful. Imagine buying your child a gift. You can motivate a child to work better. When a child works better, when a child performs better, buy them a gift. Nowadays, they even take children for vacation. Go ahead and take your child for vacation. Don't make parenting so boring. When you make it so boring, children lose their self-esteem. Even you as a parent, you don't know what you're doing. Choose to be present in the life of your children. Choose to give them the gifts that they want. Choose to correct them in love. Choose to be intentional. Don't give your child random names. Be intentional. Give children powerful names. In fact, there are kids nowadays who are called Prince. There are those who are called Love. There are those who are called Victor. You're communicating something to that child. You're telling that child, that is exactly who I want you to become. So this is the end of the 10 things that you should do as a parent in order to raise confident children. Go outside there, change your families, and make sure that the light of God shines in your family. Thank you.